Hello everyone, this is Chifei Fan. This is Taiwan, population 23 million, landmass 36,000 km squared, GDP 700 billion USD. And this is China, population 1.4 billion, landmass 9.6 million km squared, GDP over 15 trillion USD. If there's a war between us, there's no doubt that Taiwan will need help from the United States. But after witnessing the wars in Afghanistan and Ukraine, the majority of the Taiwanese people are also aware that we cannot just depend on the US to fight our war for us. We are not freeloaders. That's why in Taiwan's upcoming 2024 presidential election, all three major candidates have stated that strengthening national defense is a priority. This is a consensus. They have also stated that the United States is Taiwan's most important ally. This is also a consensus. So today, we will take a look at how Taiwan can defend itself in a war with China. The first question to consider is, how can Taiwan's military work with the US military? Let's start with something the US and Taiwan both agree. Taiwan should focus on asymmetric warfare. Historically, Taiwan always had a conventional approach to defending itself in the Taiwan Strait. For example, if they send an aircraft, we send our fighter jets to stop them. If they send a ship, we send our ship to stop them. If they try to land on the beach, we stop them on the beach. However, with the rapid growth of China's PLA over the past decade, even the United States question whether it can win a war against China, let alone Taiwan. Therefore, we have no choice but to shift our strategy to asymmetric warfare. One key concept behind asymmetric warfare is asymmetry of cost. In other words, how can we use minimal resources to win against an enemy with much greater resources? During the Russia-Ukraine war, Ukraine regained control of the strategically important Snake Island in the Black Sea, largely through the use of the Neptune anti-ship missile. These missiles can be mounted on trucks and are highly mobile. It only took 2 of these missiles to sink the Moskva, the flagship of Russia's Black Sea fleet, a powerful warship that weighs over 10,000 tons. To further put things in perspective, the entire Neptune anti-ship missile system only cost Ukraine approximately 40 million USD to develop, while the value of the Moskva was estimated at around 700 million USD. In the Taiwan Strait, Taiwan must develop weapons similar to the Neptune that are cheap, portable, and accurate. Our goal is to be able to inflict heavy damage on incoming enemy forces from a distance of 1 to 200 km to prevent them from landing on our shores. In the event that China does pull off a landing, Taiwan must be prepared for a ground war. Here, we can take a look at the conflict between Hamas and Israel. After Hamas attacked on October 7, 2023, Israel deliberated for 10 days before sending in ground troops in Gaza. This is because urban warfare is an extremely difficult endeavor that tends to favor the defending side. Why? Number 1, complex terrain. Urban environments make it easy for defenders to hide and ambush invaders. For example, a 20-story high-rise is a great place for a sniper to hide, much better than a 2-story house. It's also easy to conceal explosive devices in urban areas. Tall buildings might interfere with electronic communications. Plus, there is a home court advantage. A defending army will tend to be more familiar with their own terrain. Number 2, civilian presence. In urban warfare, you can never be sure who is a civilian and who is a soldier in plain clothes with hidden weapons. This makes urban warfare much complicated. To minimize civilian casualties, invaders will have to sacrifice some of their own forces. And you can't just start indiscriminately killing civilians without being condemned by the international community. Number 3, limited mobility. Urban areas make it hard to bring in large military equipment. For example, armored vehicles might struggle to navigate through a city's narrow alleyways. Also, just because you have more advanced technology doesn't necessarily give you an advantage in close quarters combat. High-precision sniper rifles with high-power telescopic sights might not do as well in an indoor environment as simple submachine guns with rapid-fire capabilities. Urban warfare has always been time-consuming and resource-intensive. This was clearly seen in the U.S. military's operation against ISIS in Warsaw in 2014. Initially planned as a 3-month campaign, it ended up lasting 9 months. As in Ukraine, Russia thought they would be able to take Kyiv in 3 days, but after a month of fighting, they were pushed back by the Ukrainian defenders. That's why urban warfare is considered a last resort in military strategy. In the case of Taiwan, our objective is to demonstrate to China that even if they could successfully land their army on our shores, they would become mired in urban warfare and unable to achieve stable occupation. There is little disagreement between Taiwan and the US on this subject. We both think that asymmetric warfare should be Taiwan's primary strategy. Now, let's take a look at where Taiwan and the US might not see eye to eye. The first area is that Taiwan wants to expand its defense perimeter. Our ideal situation is that we are able to destroy Chinese jets as soon as they leave the runway and Chinese ships as soon as they leave their docks. But if that's too extreme, we would like to at least be able to destroy anything that crosses the median line. For this to be possible, Taiwan wants the US to sell us their best fighter jets like the F-16, and of course, if a nuclear submarine is in the cards, that would be even better. If you won't sell them to us, then help us negotiate with other countries who don't mind incurring the wrath of China to sell us their advanced military equipment. If not, then at least teach us how to make them so we can make them ourselves. But from the US perspective, there's no point in helping Taiwan acquire advanced military equipment because China's military is too far ahead. China's annual defense budget is 226.3 billion USD, 11.8 times bigger than Taiwan's 19.15 billion USD. In the air, China has 1,500 fighter jets, while Taiwan only has 300. In the sea, China has 150 warships and 2 aircraft carriers, whereas Taiwan only has 96 warships and 0 aircraft carriers. Considering this gap in military might, the US believes a more reasonable approach would be to scale down our defense perimeter. Instead of at a median line in the Taiwan Strait, some US strategists think we could shrink our perimeter to within 5 to 10 km offshore, making Taiwan easier to defend. We can focus on smaller, more numerous, and cost-effective weapons. Not only can we afford this, we can also mobilize them quickly, aligning with the strategy of asymmetric warfare. This is also why the US and Taiwan disagree on Taiwan's domestic production of submarines.
现在目前最大的挑战是，目前华府的国务院、国安会跟国防部主管对台军售事务的高阶文官，普遍非常的支持所谓的不对称作战。他们其实对我们发国造潜舰其实是强烈的质疑。
This is Jie Zhong. He is an expert in military strategy from Taiwan.
所谓的不对称作战武器系统大概就4种：先进的 C4IS 啊，暗制的反舰飞弹、中短程的防空飞弹，还有水雷。他认为只有这4种才完全符合所谓的不对称作战武器系统，以至于美国原本要卖给我们的 M109A6 自走炮，被他找个理由无限期的推迟。然后呢， 原本美国海军建议我们要买个反潜直升机，美国海军建议的哦，也被华府否决。
In other words, from the U.S. perspective, considering how much it costs to make a submarine, how many of this can Taiwan realistically produce? Since China already has 6 nuclear submarines and 47 diesel submarines, how would this work as asymmetric warfare? But from Taiwan's point of view, the advantage of a submarine lies in their stealth capabilities. They are difficult to detect, and if the enemy knows you have them, they will be less likely to risk sending their navy your way. This is in line with the strategy of asymmetric warfare. Even former President Trump supported this strategy when he approved the sale of Mk-48 heavyweight torpedoes to be used with Taiwan's domestically developed submarines. But now, there's a new president and a new administration who thinks we shouldn't develop our own submarines. So what are we supposed to do with that?
我们的国造潜舰的战斗系统是来自美国，美国卖几套战斗系统给我们，我们就能造几艘。那我现在比较担心是华府目前因为非常的重视不对称作战，非常强调不对称作战武器种，可能不会太支持我们去增加潜舰的兵力。
Okay, so the U.S. doesn't want us to make submarines. That's fine. Even good friends don't agree on everything. But if you want us to shrink our defense perimeter, does that mean you want to effectively hand over the entire Taiwan Strait to China?
我的推测是这样。美国海军多多少少认为说到时候他的核子潜舰可以搞定这些问题，但对我们来讲，我们跟美国之间没有共同防御条约，所以当共军犯台的时候，美国什么时候参战对我们来讲是未知数。那美国潜舰什么时候到达也是未知数。更重要的是，因为我们跟1979年美国跟我们中华民国断交之后，双方就没有再进行过联合作战训练，所以在这种状况之下，我们其实没有办法去期待美军可以帮我们处理掉这些事情。所以这也是我们现在跟美方在做这个军事战略的沟通的时候一个比较大的一个盲点。
This brings us to another issue in Taiwan-US cooperation: strategic ambiguity. The United States want to maintain the most flexibility and advantage in both its relationship with Taiwan and with China, so it keeps everything murky. This leaves Taiwan with no idea how far we need to defend ourselves before the U.S. intervene. Is it as far as the median line in the Taiwan Strait, or only up to a 10-kilometer radius? Or are we expected to handle the entire situation on our own? Each of these scenarios requires different strategies and weaponry. It's as if the U.S. and Taiwan started a baseball team. We ask, should Taiwan play infield while the U.S. cover outfield? But instead of a simple yes or no, the U.S. says that according to our policy of strategic ambiguity, cannot answer that question. So, when a ball comes towards us, who's going to catch it? With all that said, I do understand why the U.S. maintains ambiguity. First off, if China knew exactly how Taiwan and the U.S. were planning to cooperate, it could start working on strategies to counter us. Secondly, being too transparent about our cooperation might provoke China into attacking now before our defenses get even stronger. Another issue I've found is that many American military experts actually doubt whether the Taiwanese people have the will to fight. This point is crucial because, as we discussed earlier, if China invades, they might have to fight a grueling urban warfare. If China thinks the Taiwanese are determined to fight and will prepare for urban warfare, this could have a significant deterrent effect. But in Taiwan, buying F-16s or developing submarines is more appealing because getting new toys is cool and exciting like Top Gun is happening in Taiwan. But when it comes to urban warfare, the Taiwanese don't have the same enthusiasm. And can you blame us? If we are fighting an urban warfare, that means the enemy is not just at our doorstep, they are inside in our house. It means the home we worked so hard to build, the couch we saved for 6 months to buy, our beloved PS5 would all be destroyed. Our precious family, even our pets, might be killed. wouldn't you be scared? But just because we aren't eager for this scenario doesn't mean we don't have the will to fight. According to a March 2023 survey conducted by the Institute of National Defense and Security Research, a think tank of Taiwan's Ministry of Defense, when asked if the Chinese Communist Party used force to invade Taiwan, would you be willing to fight to defend Taiwan? 73% of respondents answered yes, and 85% of the population supports extending the mandatory military service period from 4 months to 1 year, with around 63% strongly in favor and 22% somewhat in favor. From this, we can see that it's not that the Taiwanese people are unwilling to fight. It's that they may not feel they have the proper channels to participate in the fight, and they may not feel confident about Taiwan's military ability. If Taiwan's military isn't up to the task, then I don't want to die for nothing. In short, we lack confidence. And what's the best way to build confidence? By getting stronger. Taiwan is doing that. There are several initiatives currently in place to strengthen Taiwan's defense. Number 1, upgrading our military. Taiwan continues to update our military strategies to meet the requirements of modern warfare. Taiwan's defense budget increases annually to ensure the military has the resources it needs to continue improving. We also seek help from the U.S. to create kill chains and train our soldiers so that we can maximize the effectiveness of our military. Number 2, updating our reserve system. Taiwan doesn't actually need universal conscription. Our workforce is estimated to be around 12 million people. If only 5% of them fight in the military, we'll have 600,000 soldiers. That's enough to outnumber the anticipated PLA landing forces several times over. If we had another 5% or 600,000 people, they could take care of supply, transportation, production, and other military services. With this 1.2 million people, 5% of Taiwan's population of 24 million, we could fulfill all of our military needs. Additionally, many of our reservists have specialized skills: computer engineers, communications engineers, and machinery operators. If properly utilized, our reservists could form specialized units who could leverage their qualifications into unique combat applications. For example, there are currently 20,000 licensed drone pilots in Taiwan who could be mobilized if needed. Number 3, improving civil defense systems. Both government and civilian organizations are actively working to build public awareness on crisis and disaster preparedness. The Taiwanese are aware that we must have confidence in our own defense capabilities, and this confidence must be based in real strength. Only then will other countries trust Taiwan as a reliable partner and be willing to invest in an alliance. That's how we build a credible defense of the island. Our ultimate goal here is that China start to think Taiwan is a tough nut to crack. Maybe I will wait a little longer before I invade. That's it for today. If you find this video helpful, please leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. If you are in a hurry, you can just also give us a like. 2027 is coming. Let's be vigilant together. I'm Chifei Fan. See you next time. This video is in collaboration with TaiwanPlus.